So, I started building my train. You can see it under the overgrowth. And then something surprising happened. I put my company for sale, figuring it was going to take a year or so to sell, and somebody wanted to buy it immediately. So in turn, I had to change gears, and no longer is this a vacation home or a weekend every time. It is now a full-time home, because I have now moved here. And let the building begin. So today looks like a lovely, lovely Saturday day. And we are going to start again. This is where we're at right now. All the stuff has been cleaned up. The tracks have been exposed again. There was one bent track that got stepped on because you probably couldn't see it when I had people here. You can see on either side I had some 12-inch by 48-inch ceramic planks that used to be on my back porch at the old house down south. I've now put them next to the train, so I have a platform that will have basically no grass on it next to the main transfer where I put my track and trains on, because there's my actual train room, and you can come to the train without having to worry about getting in the way of the grass being high or whatever. Also gives it kind of a train station look, because now you have a platform next to the train. We've cleaned everything off, and I've put in a bridge here and my first building. First thing we're going to do is we're going to attach wires to our track so we can get power, because you can see right there there's an isolation, so I can store a track, use this track as a storage right, and then because that is my secondary storage track that runs around, it does dead end. But we're going to get started again. My biggest issue is right now is I seem to have gophers or something, and I've had to redo all this track over here because gophers got in here, dug a ditch under my track, and the whole track fell. So I did go backwards some. So I did all those repairs before I got back on camera. So to hook up my power, wherever I'm going to put power on, I am using these connectors to connect the track together. And I have eyelets that actually go underneath one of these screws. So I'm using these connectors to connect the track. I'm also using these connectors to connect the power to the track. So I just have to find eyelets at both ends where I can connect up the power, and it'll be up and running. For instance, inside the building, I have eyelets right there at the front. That's why my power is going to be hooked into the building. So let's get that done. Okay, so the first thing obviously is I have to move the building out of the way. What I'm going to do is take off one of my connecting screws. And put it through my wire. Then I'll put the connecting screw back on. I'll do the same thing to the other side as well. I want my wires on the inside of the track. That way, if I decide to backfill the track, the wires will be buried under the backfill. They'll be in the middle. Of course, that's going to be after the track gets up and running. And it's going to be part of the beautification of making it real. At this point, with the amount of track that I'm putting in, that's not even something I'm thinking of right now. Now these will actually run right across here like this, and under the bridge and over. Now one thing you'll notice about my building is where the building goes, it's on a platform, and at the very end of the track I have a dead end marker. Obviously it's missing the other half because I only need one half of it. But when I put the building in, I'm going to put the building so it actually pushes against the dead end marker. So if some chance I am not controlling properly and the train runs right into this back wall, it is going to run into the back of the building. But when it hits the building's not going to move or break because it's going to hit directly into the track marker, the track dead end. So this goes right in and pushes up right against that. And my building is set right on the edge. Outside edge you have a lap, inside edge it's perfect, straight. So down the main, as my last videos are, when I have all the tracks next to each other, and to do this, I took a piece of pressure treated 2x2 and put in and connected the track to the 2x2. I'm not going to do that all the way around. I am just going to be doing that on the main run because it's fairly straight. Over here, I'm just going to be drilling a hole and putting it directly in. So I have to figure out which hole I want to drill. Make a mark. Make a mark. Loosen the track up just a hair. I'm using little plastic inserts. Reason why is I have to take up any track for any purpose. If I use the regular concrete screws, A, they're high. I don't want to take a chance of hitting a magnet or something that I have set on the track. And B, when I take them up, as time goes on, they become less and less connective. Because you make the hole every time you screw in the screw. That's the concrete screw. You make the hole just a little bit bigger because you cut a little groove. And as soon as you start cutting too many grooves, that screw no longer works right. So I don't want that to be the case. So if I end up having to take these up for any reason, I can always put a new insert in and I start over. All my threads are fresh. And it's not like I'm holding up a house. So after this track gets out here and it gets in the weather and it gets hot and cold a few times, the way it's bent, if it is bent a little bit off, is going to become its life, because it's going to absorb where it is. Now we're talking about months down the road. There. Now we're going to start moving track down. So in case if you're wondering if I'm just putting tracks down, if I actually have a plan, there actually is a plan. You spread these out, you see that there's a loop at one end. They're color coded. These come together. Right now we're over here in this area. This used to be a turnaround, but I found out it was made out of press board. I bought it, I paid for it, quite a lot of money. The guy I bought it from did not tell me that it was press board, did not tell me that it was warped from being outside. He disappeared, so I basically just threw $500 in the sky and said, here, take it. So that went away. I did not realize that LGB made these things out of press board, which cannot be in the water or in the rain when LGB is an outdoor train. So I didn't comprehend how they would do A and still say they're B. So that was a bad mistake. That $500 could have gone some more track. So I'm probably going to have to reduce some of this because I'm running out of straight track. However, right now is where we are. We're only here on our diagram. And I've only finished to here. So we've only done this little section to here in the curve. So I still have the rest of this to do. This right here is a tree, so we'll be going around the tree that's right there. Right now I'm starting a curve. So this had to curve out with a curve to go out and around this where this room was. So now I'm heading a curve back. I don't know if I'm going to continue the curve and get rid of that whole sharp corner, which is a possibility, or if I'm going to actually go through that curve. And you see there's a square here. I have a double house, a double parking system, train shed. So the idea was it was going to be put right here. And one of those places we're going to go through the train shed, and the other one was going to come from over here and actually loop into the train shed. But now, since things have changed, I don't quite know exactly where that train shed's going to go. I have one building here. I would like to have another building on the other side, so I don't have all the buildings in one little place. Granted, I'm going to have more buildings, but I'd rather spread them out. So I think I'm just going to take this curve, and I'm going to continue my curve around. Because this is dead-ended. This has not been started yet. But this can just be a loop. It doesn't have to have a building. This is actually going to be the area that has the log factory in it. Log mill, wood mill, sawmill. So I'm going to place that in here somehow and have this train be able to park there. This is the sawmill loop. This is the city loop. This is the country loop. This is the loop that can run any train because there's not going to be any sharp curves. Everything on this loop on the outside can run any train that's made to sit on LGB track. So I just wanted to show you that there is actually a plan in place. There's a plan to move forward. We're trying to get it there. Now I'm to the point I don't know if I have enough straight track to actually get the plan done, because I'm almost out of straight track. All I have is 4 foot and 6 foot left. But I'm probably going to start cutting track. Okay, let's get back. My curve will take me past the tree. Problem is, I'm directly on a big root. I'm thinking that since there's a root there, this might be a good place to put a bridge. Have a nice big bridge. So if I put my bridge there, then I put my straight piece here. And now I'm running straight. I think I like that. That way I don't have to worry about my spot that's there. Old bridge I made years and years ago. I mean, keeping it for the possible future use. Well, looks like the future use has been found. So now I'm going to run straight. I'm going to run my curves, 2 curved pieces, straight piece with a bridge, and a curved piece which is going to straighten me off to run over to that corner. Okay, so this is the first run on the track I finished so far. So far smooth. Yeah, we consider that a good test. Okay, so here's the issue we're getting into right now. The issue is that the train track that I had was bent out of shape. So when I built this and I was throwing tracks down, I ended up throwing tracks down and didn't notice one was bent out of shape. So now I'm trying to piece things together, not to destroy the whole layout that I have. The good thing is this is why you start at one end and you work your way around the track to the other end. So as you're going, if you have a major issue like this, you can adjust all the track after that, which is what I'm probably going to have to end up doing. Because it seems to be I'm using this track here, which was not the original plan. Perfect. Going up just a little bit. That's what I want. I gotta check the sideways level. Gotta make sure we're tilted up on the outside, which we are. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm being buzzed by bees. Ground bees, to be exact. Yesterday I was working in the section over there, moved a bunch of dirt out of the way, and I covered up their nest. So it became a frantic rescue mission with a bunch of bees flying back, completely filled with pollen, trying to dig out the nest, which is very hard to do when your legs are just packed with a bunch of pollen, weighing everything down. So I saw what I did. So I went in the house and got my little tiny vacuum and kind of gently pushed them out of the way and vacuumed up some dirt, which found the hole. And the video is kind of funny because after I found the hole, they all went in the hole. Then one bee came out and stood at the front with his head and his antlers sticking out the hole. And when a bee left, you'd see him pop down. A bee would leave, and he'd pop right back up. It's like they have a guard now at the entrance. I just find that funny. Yes, I think bees are incredible animals, insects. So, go to my bee videos. I'll be putting that one up the same time I put this one up. So if you're seeing this, the bee video is up and able to be watched. Here comes another train. bring this all the way in and cut out the space. Ooh. Maybe I'm wrong. Pretty damn close. How do I round them up? There's a corner. High on the outside. High on the inside. Why am I still high on the inside? So we got done with that. We got the train put together. I have a battery operated little cleaning car I bought, and it's been running around the track. It's about to pass the picture now, and it's very successful. It hasn't had any problems, and it continues to run around the track. That's like test number 1. Now we're going to get some power to the system. So this is my junction box. It's in the yard. Everything is color coded. The track we're working on now has 2 different lines coming in, and it is blue, as you see. So what I need to do now is I need to get access for the lines to get into the actual junction box. So this is the box that's on where everything's going to come to. So I'm going to drill 1 hole on side A and drill 1 hole on side B. Actually, I put both of the tracks next to each other since I have the space. Run these in. They always come from the bottom. Run this in from the bottom. And we'll hook up our track. I'm going to take one of these, I'm going to hook it to green, and I'm going to ohm it out inside the room, and that's going to tell me which one it is, and I'll know if that's the blue or the not blue, and then I'll label it this time. So the one hooked up to green, I got a pass-through on that is blue. So I'll mark this as being the blue connection, which is actually the outside track. So they all work together to get the outside track connected up. You can see my connectors for my small wires. My big wires, I'm just going to use wire nuts on them. I'm not going to worry about closing it up. It doesn't look like rain. So I just put power to the track. Temporary power on that blue line, just hooked up a basic on-off. It's on full blast. We're on my little LGB train. Nothing like seeing it actually work when you get done. Haven't cleaned the track. Haven't done anything to the track except for what was out of the box, and some of it was used. So right there is a use point. It needs to be fixed. But as you see, it's working around without a problem. So track 1, outer track, is completed. Talk to you next time.